Hi, I'm Jovana, and this is our third episode of HTEC Celebrates Women in Tech. As many of you probably know, March is a National Women's History Month, and we wanted to bring attention to the women we work with and admire. Now, let me give you just a little bit of a historical background on this celebration. So Women's History Month, which is observed in the US, UK, and Australia in March, and in Canada in October, began with a single day, which is International Women's Day, happening on March the 8th. And it has been celebrated in various forms since 1911. Finally, in 1975, it was officially commemorated by the United Nations and was recognized by the UN 2 years later. Today, scholars, universities, businesses, and local governments generally use this period not only to celebrate the achievements of women, but also to look critically at equality and opportunities for women, and also as a chance to educate people on women's history. So the woman we are celebrating today is another Jovana, Jovana Mitic. She's a front-end developer at HTEC, who is actually much more than just a front-end developer. She is a strong people development activist and a promising rising star in HTEC Intrapreneurship practice. In less than 3 years being with us here at HTEC, she managed to become one of the most inspiring mentors for our young talent. And generally, as you will see in the interview, everywhere she goes, she shines her knowledge and positive energy. Hi, Jovana, and thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us about your beginnings in front-end development and what made you choose this profession?
Yes, of course I can. Well, in my life, I've been very interested in mathematics. It was a favorite subject of mine. And when I got to university, I was very keen on artificial intelligence. But as soon as I finished my university, I knew that those career options were not a choice for me because that field was very limited. And I researched the market at that time, and I found out that there was high demand for JavaScript developers, and there was a lack of high quality engineers in that field. And I already loved JavaScript, so it was a great choice for me. And then there was the visual aspect of doing front end. And I loved that. And as soon as I started working with the JavaScript and going deeper, I was really hooked. And there is another important part of it. I've always had long-term career goals with being business-oriented and wanting to work with people and to be, I always wanted to do something related to IT industry. And I've always wanted to go through my career with having knowledge about the whole process. So implementing and development and everything, and then getting to the business part. So beginning as a front-end engineer just seemed like a perfect choice.
Do you see front end as maybe being more occupied by women and back end by men, or is this just a myth?
No, I do not see it like that, because I have a lot of friends from my university that finished university and then chose their careers, and I can say that the percentage is the same. So there are females choosing back end, there are females choosing front end, and vice versa. So I do not think it's female-dominated field in any way.
And I find this interesting. You mentioned that artificial intelligence was not, it didn't have many career options back then. Is this the same is it the same today, or do you feel like there are more opportunities for young talent in AI?
There are more opportunities, but there are not as much opportunities as with different fields. So you could do artificial intelligence today if you wanted to in Serbia. but it would require maybe perhaps more hard work in the beginning, and there are fewer options in the beginning. So I think it's possible today. It didn't seem that possible like 5 years ago, but today it seems possible. And even in HTEC, we have artificial intelligence females.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
We actually interviewed one, Aniko, last week, and she's
Yes,
AI/ML.
I watched. She's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so you are very young, and I was just wondering whether this is your first job or you had a career before HTEC.
I've had experience in another firm. It was a rather small firm with tiny, tiny amount of people working together. So yes, I've had previous experience.
And was this like a startup or just a little company?
It was a combination. It wasn't really a startup because they didn't have their product. They were working for clients, but they've had a few projects that they were working on within that small company. Yes.
So maybe a bit similar to HTEC, but on a smaller scale.
On a much, much, much smaller scale.
much less. We are 700 people today.
Yeah.
So what drove you to search for a career in a big company like HTEC Group, and what are the differences between small and large tech companies? I have a feeling that many of our guests have a similar career development path. You know, there's this little company that you start at and then jump to something more serious, like
yes. Well, I think the difference is very big because with small companies, they're much more like families. So you get a strong sense of community there. And I really love the people I was working there with. But the thing is, options for growth are very limited. And it's because the person that is giving your job does not have enough resources to support your growth in various fields. So with big companies, you have to have clear vision for company, clear goals, a really great structure. And I really love that part of being in a big company. So what drove me to go to a big company is having career path that can go in any way that you want, but that is supported by the company. And HTEC really offers that. So you can really explore your interests and you can really advance in anything that you want, and it is really supported by the system, and the system is structured well, and there are a lot of engineering practices that are being followed, and you have mentors, you have more experienced colleagues to learn from. When you're in a small company, more often than not, you're really pressured just to get the job done. So you do not have a mentor, you do not have anybody to learn best practices from. You're just being on your own by yourself and just figuring things out. And I do not necessarily think that is bad, but I really do think there are better ways to advance. And having a mentor, having a structured path, having a clear vision are tools to have a career path growth that is more accelerated and faster. You can get faster to reach your goals if you're in a big company, in my opinion.
You say you mentioned that you could go in any direction here. Is there any other like non-technical direction that you'd go to, or would you stay? I mean, from this point of view, at least.
Yeah, yeah, there are a lot of various fields that I'm interested in. I was always some kind of jack of all trades. I was interested in a lot of fields, and I really, really love working with company that provides me resources to explore all of those fields. So I love working with people. I love being involved in somebody's career, structuring it, having clear goals in mind, understanding the surroundings and the business side of things, and then connecting the dots and helping colleagues that are younger and less experienced than me advance in their goals and their visions, and then matching that with the firm's vision, and just creating structure and helping other people. It's really one of the things that really gives me much joy, and I really like doing. So I was actually helping my JS team universalize junior development program and helping juniors really like matching firms goals, Htag's goals, and then matching juniors goals, and like making them shake hands and succeed in what they want. And besides that, I really like the product side of things, understanding how business works, how the product is being developed, communicating with clients. It really excites me. So I got the chance to do that also. And I'm constantly involved with all of that. And not only that, regarding the technology, I got to make application architecture. I'm constantly working with new technologies, and I'm surrounded by outstanding people in all sorts of ways that are always inspiring to me. So I really like that. Besides writing code, which I like, there are a lot of other things that I can also do and that are really productive.
In your case, I have a feeling that it revolves around this like humanity, working with people, with clients, and
Yeah.
and you mentioned the mentorship and the importance of it. When you got the job at HTEC, you went through the whole mentorship program. You were initiated into the practices, and now fast forward to today, you find yourself in the role of a mentor. So can you describe like how does this process look like, and why do you think it's so important, and what value do you bring to the process?
Of course. Well, I really think that HTEC mentorship program sets HTEC apart because with our mentorship program, mentor is there to guide your career development. So with your mentor, you're crafting your career path in a way that is goal-oriented, structured. You are exploring your interests, and then you're translating them into clear mindset and implementing it with help of a guiding mentor that always has a bigger picture with what you can achieve, in which way will you achieve it the best. And having a mentor and being a mentor is a very fulfilling process, and really helps you succeed in the most productive way. So for me, being a mentor was helping juniors just find a way to know what they want, and then to reach their goals within their fields of interests. So the juniors usually in the beginning don't even know what they want and they do not know what the firm wants. So they are really lost when they come into the company. They know that they want to work, but they are not sure about their goals or what the company stands for. And then there is a mentor to guide them through that, to make sure that everybody involved is happy and succeeding and all the goals are reached. And it is tailored. It is really tailored. So if I have multiple mentees, my approach regarding each one of them will be very different, and it will really depend on their personal interests, and that's amazing.
And capabilities, yeah.
Yeah, and capabilities, yes.
And this is there like a standard process? I mean, the length of the process, is it always the same for everyone, or when does someone become fully independent?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, we have two different sets of mentorship programs, if I can call them that. One of them is junior development program and is regarding juniors that are coming into company. And then there is the other one, which is regular mentorship program. And it is regarding senior juniors, if I can call them that, then mid-years and seniors. Anybody can have a mentor. So regarding the second way of being a mentor. It is less because your mentees are of a higher seniority. It is you're less involved with your mentee, and you're guiding them less because they're more experienced. But with junior development program, there is really a there is really a system that we have, and it is really well defined. And if you come in as a real junior and you go through junior development program, it will take you 3 to 6 months to achieve initial goals. Initial goals for junior mentee are to become fully independent, to really write high quality code, to be really to become a part of a Htag, to become a part of a community, to know how to express themselves professionally. And we have we're a really well-developed, structured system that the junior has to go through in order to become fully independent and to become to really start working in the most productive and fulfilling way for them.
So now maybe these new kids don't have to go to small companies and startups anymore and be confused. They can come straight to us and get a mentor like you. And when these people come, what do you see as the main challenge that they face when they enter our mentorship program?
The main challenge for the juniors is they are very afraid, and they are super afraid to say they do not know stuff, and they're afraid to admit that something is very unfamiliar to them. And then there is the thing with being able to do something and knowing that theoretical knowledge behind it, but not connecting the dots and not really understanding why does this work in this way, and how can I bring my theoretical knowledge and match it with what I'm already doing. They do not know how to do that in the beginning. And it's funny because they're really all the same in the beginning. They do not want to say they do not know anything. They're afraid to ask. They're afraid to look dumb or to look like they're not, like they are juniors. So the first thing I'm always saying to my juniors is be a junior. It's okay not to know. You just started off. There are a lot of things that you will learn, and it's totally fine. So that's the first thing that they're all facing. And there is I would put them into separate groups with their beginnings, because they're afraid. They can either be too defensive and always find excuses for not knowing something or not taking feedback really well. And then there is another group that's being offensive and being like, oh, well, that and that is why I didn't do this and that, and I do not know this and that. And it's the same thing. They're just behaving in another way, but there is the fear that they're not good enough. That's that imposter syndrome in the beginning, where you're not, you see that you can do the job, but you're not really feeling that you're experienced enough to do it, and that you're wise enough to do it. And they all experience it.
Mm-hmm. You're groping in the dark a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you cross that barrier with them, where they finally relax and know that they can make mistakes and that it's fine?
Well, I've come to realize with being a mentor and trying to develop very structured JDP that they all really, what they need is support. Really, that's the major thing with being a mentor: supporting someone, believing in them. People really thrive on that. And then the other thing, practical thing, is to set really clear goals, like really super clear, to have documents with all the lists. So you're about to learn this, and The other thing is giving constant feedback. So in the beginning, it's a bit hard to give feedback to somebody that is new and already feeling a bit frightened and trying to get to know surroundings. But in time, with getting and receiving feedback, if you develop a relationship where the feedback is transparent and is really productive, the mentee gets the feeling that even the bad feedback is with the goal in mind to advance his career or her career. So they're really open to it, and they're really following, they're really getting to see their disadvantages with their talents, and see what they can do, what they want to do, what they cannot do, and what they do not want to do. And then they start receiving feedback in a much more open manner, and they start implementing it, and it's always successful. So in the end, it's really about supporting them and having clear vision in mind, but having their personal interests and talents also with all of that. It's really a holistic approach, because, for example, for me, it's very important to have a mentee that writes good code and high quality code, but it is also super important to get familiar with processes and how to deliver well, how to estimate things, how to be independent but still write good code, and how to be independent but not make mistakes. So that relationship, mentor-mentee relationship, is really important, with the great system supporting it. So there really needs to be a great system. I really believe in systems, as you can see.
Yes. So you do build trust with them, but also based on like clear vision and the process that is established.
Yes.
And how many people do you mentor?
Currently, I had two junior development mentees that have successfully finished their junior development mentorship program and are advancing to be full juniors and mid-year juniors and going on with their careers. So I'm fully focused on them. Then I've just finished being onboarding buddy, which is similar to being a mentor. And we have that role also. And I have people that I am, how to say, in charge of, and that are younger than me. So I'm trying to mentor them also.
So are you like one of the top JS mentors in the company right now, or?
What does that mean? I do not know.
How many are there? I'm not familiar with the structure.
How many? Oh, well, anybody can be a mentor. Well, not anybody. Juniors cannot be mentors because they are not experienced enough. But anybody with some experience that has a desire to be a mentor can give it a shot. And we are really, really supporting that. So we have a lot of mentors within our JS team, but some of them are junior mentors and some of them are regular mentors. And junior mentors, we have two more mentors besides me, I think. Yeah, two more mentors. And then there are some senior mentors, and there is a couple more of them. But they're different roles. The approach is different. With juniors, it's really, really important to make sure they integrate into the company really well.
They come as an empty piece of paper, as you say.
Yeah, and they're so cute and so hardworking, all of them. It's so amazing to see the growth.
And what would be your advice for the newbies in this space?
Yeah, I would have a lot of advice. I would advise myself if I can go back in time. The advice is not to be afraid not to know. That's the first advice. Just don't be afraid not to know. Just say, I'm a junior, I do not know, so it's okay not to know. Then I would advise them to really find a good mentor. That can be a person in your life, that can be a more experienced colleague that's working somewhere else. I mean, in the beginning, when you're starting off your career and, for example, not being employed yet, really try to see yourself as someone starting off their career. Really know where you're at. So I'm a junior and I do not know stuff and I'm getting familiar with everything and I will reach out for help. And that is very important, to find a proper person to reach out for help. too, and then to use that help and use it really productively and efficiently. And juniors should really try to clear their vision and have clear goals in mind, because if you do not have clear goals in mind, you will just be swayed left and right. You will always do what other people tell you to do, and it would require you much more time to find yourself, and you would be much less satisfied with your job, because you do not have clear goals in mind. So just set the clear goals as soon as you start working, and know where you're at, and just go forward. And another practical thing that I would advise them is really try to connect what you're reading and what you're looking at and while you're researching, and then what you're implementing. A lot of the times I see that people know theoretically something and they're implementing it, but they're not connecting those two things. And it's really impressive to see it. And I really think it would be of great use for juniors to start connecting that knowledge right at the start, like really connecting the knowledge.
That sounds like a classic beginner mistake. I
Yeah.
remember myself doing that too. Like, okay, I'm working on this, but I have no idea why or how is it going to fit into a bigger picture. And also, yeah, don't be afraid, kids. It's okay to not know. Are there a lot of women that you work with at HTEC in your department?
Finally there are. When I was studying in my university, in my class, there was like 10 women at tops and 250 people completely. So I'm really super happy to say that right now we have 1/3 of the team in JS team be female, and then 1/3 of my project team be female. So I'm super happy about it. Yeah, a lot of females, and I'm stoked to see more females coming into our field. Mm-hmm. And I'm working with extraordinary females, like extraordinary. They're all really hardworking, really conscientious, and really pleasant to work with. And I find working with females really productive, extremely productive, and we're communicating easily. And I really love the females I'm working with. All of them. I cannot name one that I didn't like working with.
Well, it seems like generally at HTEC, a third of our employees are women. So
generally, great. That's great to hear.
Yes, this is the new statistic that we learned 2 weeks ago when we had a International Women's Day panel. So I also find out from a colleague that this is the situation, which is great, especially for a tech company. You know, yes. if we were marketing, the situation would probably be maybe the other way around. But
yeah. Well, I do not believe that females are not made for tech. I really do not believe it. For example, in my primary school, the two top mathematicians in my class were another female and then I. So I've never seen the technical field being so filled with males. For example, in my high school, even on Republic competitions, there were also females being the first ones. And so what about that? Wow. So I really do not think our brains are set to think more holistically and more people-oriented, and then there are males and they think logically and they are tech guys. I really think that females can also be very interested in technical stuff.
Mm-hmm. Me too. And have a very pragmatical, mathematical
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, last question. As a mentor, which advice would you give to young women considering a career in the tech industry?
Well, when it comes to young women, I would really advise them to go into their careers without taking their gender into consideration. So not thinking, I'm a female, I'm coming to a tech industry, what about all of those males, will I succeed? None of that. So just be a person that is willing to work, explore your interests, really explore them and know your strengths, know your weaknesses, accept your professional growth as it is, and just go. And then if there are people that are in your way or discriminating you in any way possible, just find ways to go on with what you were doing, and just don't pay attention to those beliefs that are really old. And I don't even think that I've come across plenty of those. So that's the first thing. And then there is one thing that I want to mention. In my experience, usually females are more agreeable than males. So I would advise young females to be less agreeable, speak up more, and be more assertive with what you think and have initiative. It doesn't matter if you're surrounded by males, and if they're really not agreeable at all and sometimes aggressive, don't be afraid to really express yourself and really go with what you want and find ways to succeed in that. We may have different approaches with things, females and males, and each person individually, but there are plenty of ways to succeed in your personal goals, and just don't have gender in mind. And I have to note one example of a female that is not typical female. That is my mentee, and she is really outspoken and hyper interested in technologies. So if you didn't know she was female, you would think she's a male. So, and she is so good at what she does, and she is an example that females can be anything. They can be assertive, they can speak up, they can be hyper focused on technology and really competitive. She's super competitive. So just be yourself. That's the advice. Be yourself. Don't mind the gender.
That's a good advice. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all your experiences with us, and giving us a little bit of overview about your career and what you do at HTEC. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and I hope you do a lot of great work and have many more mentees and successes in your career.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
You too.